The 33rd Guam Youth Congress is hereby called to order. In honor of Mestre Chamorro, we will begin with the bendición. Please rise. now call on Vice Speaker LeBang for the prayer.
In the name of the Father, the Son, the Holy Spirit. Amen. Heavenly Father, we ask you to guide us today and that you grant us wisdom to tackle important legislations in front of us. Guide us and our family and keep us safe, especially during this time of uncertainty. Amen. In the name of the Father, Son, and Spirit. Amen.
Sizos Maasi, I now call on Representative Blas Tyrone for the Inifresi.
Inifresi, init imastaculo, iginasoku, imastaculum i corazonhu, zad imasfigo, naninasinyahu, hu ofrecen maisadu, para hu protehi, zan hu defendi, ihinengi, i cultura, i lenguahi, i airi, i hanom, zanitano tamoru, ni idenshaku diretsu gin nasdos tata, esti hua fitma di hilu i Biblia, zan ibanderahu ibanderen guahan.
Sizos Maasi, I now call on Representative Bailey for the national anthem. I now call on Representative Common for the Fanogi Chamorro. Sizos Maasi, please be seated. Mr. Secretary, roll call, please.
Representative Bailey,
Present.
Representative Blas Tyron,
Esteguizu,
Representative Camacho, Representative Chung,
Present.
Representative Common,
Esteguizu,
Representative DeHile,
Esteguizu.
Representative De Gracia,
Present.
Representative Flores,
Gagizo.
Representative Gale,
Present.
Representative Vice Speaker LeBang,
present.
Representative Lagman,
Present.
Representative Lizama,
Present.
Representative Chloe Lizama,
Present.
Representative Laurel Lizama. Speaker Lorenzo.
Present.
Representative Makepeace.
Present.
Representative Mantanani.
Present.
Representative Pareda.
Present.
Representative Perez.
Present.
Representative Kitsitso.
Geigies
Representative Ujoa.
Present.
Representative Valencia.
Present.
Representative Villanueva.
Present.
Representative Wang.
Present.
And Representative Yabit.
Present.
Madam Speaker, there is a quorum.
Sizos Maasi, Mr. Secretary. Majority Leader Representative Blas Tyrone, you're recognized on the approval of the Legislative Journal dated February 2021.
Sijos Maasi, Madam Speaker. I move to approve the Legislative Journal dated February 2021, subject to corrections.
Sizos Maasi, there has been a motion to approve the Legislative Journal dated February 2021, subject to corrections. Are there any objections? Hearing none, motion carries. Majority Leader, you are recognized.
Madam Speaker, I make a motion to waive items 9 through 12 of the session agenda.
There has been a motion to waive items 9 through 12 of the session agenda. Does the chair hear any objections? Hearing or seeing none, motion carries. Majority Leader, you are recognized.
Sijos Maasi. Madam Speaker, I move that bill numbers 4-33, 8-33, and 11-33, and Resolution 1-33 through 5-33 be deemed to have their first reading.
Sizos Maasi, there has been a motion that all bills and resolutions on today's session agenda be deemed to have their first reading. Are there any objections? Hearing or seeing none, motion carries. Representative Blas Tyrone, you are recognized.
I make a motion that all members not present for today's session be excused.
Sizos Maasi, there has been a motion that all members not present for today's session be excused. Are there any objections? Hearing or seeing none, motion carries. Majority Leader, you are recognized.
Sijos Maasi. Madam Speaker, I move to waive items 15 and 16 on our session agenda.
There has been a motion to waive items 15 and 16 on our legislative session agenda. Are there any objections? Hearing or seeing none, motion carries. We are now in motions. We are in recess.
The 33rd Guam Congress is back in session. Speaker Lorenzo, you're recognized.
Sizos Maasi, Mr. Chair, I make a motion to place Bill number 8-33, COR, into this third reading file for discussion.
There has been a motion to place Bill number 8-33 COR into third reading file for discussion. Are there any objection? Hearing none, motion carries. Speaker Lorenzo, you're recognized.
Sizos Maasi, Mr. Chair. Buenas and Hafiday colleagues. Before I begin my testimony on Bill number 8-33, I would just like to ensure that all representatives have it open so that we are able to view the bill. Does everyone have it? Okay. Before I begin on 33, I'd just like to give a brief definition of what period poverty is. Period poverty refers to the prevalent phenomenon of being unable to afford products such as pads, tampons, or liners to manage menstrual bleeding. It is essential that when we talk about period poverty, that we recognize that not all menstruators are women and that not all women menstruate. Period poverty prevents low-income menstruators from bleeding with dignity. With the economic crisis of our island and the price of menstrual products at a high of around $10 to $15 of 30-pack wings, this leaves people with the choice between buying menstruating products or providing other necessities for the family. an effect that has prevents menstruators from carrying out daily tasks or attending school. Access to menstrual product is a right, and feeling clean, confident, and capable during one's period is a necessity. Whenever menstruators resort to unhygienic alternatives, they are vulnerable to the harmful physical and mental outcomes. According to a survey taken in 2019 by the Bureau of Women's Affairs, with an overwhelming response rate of 82%, stated that alternatives for proper menstrual products include cut-up clothes, rags, socks, tissues, napkins, toilet papers, Depends, Pampers, and even used Pampers, while others stated that they would just simply free bleed. Products like these put menstruators at a higher risk of urinary tract infections, which can cause skin irritation, vaginal itching, and even green or white discharge. Furthermore, the emotional toll accompanying the lack of access is related to poor mental health outcomes, such as elevated anxiety, depression, and distress scores. Mr. Chair, we give out condoms to keep students safe, yet we do not provide menstrual products to keep them in school. With 1 in 5 individuals missing school due to lack of menstruating products, period poverty is an important yet often ignored public health crisis. However, this bill aims to resolve that issue. This bill aims to keep our students in school. When parents drop their kids off to school, they expect that the education is their first priority. And this bill ensures that our students, our youth, and our future does not have to worry about their menstrual cycle disrupting their education. With the passage of this bill, not only by our body, but by the Guam legislature, it will ensure that menstruation products will be accessible to all students. The same way a student will go to the nurse's station to ask for a Band-Aid if they get a cut, they can request for menstruation products. Mr. Chair, with the passage of Bill 4-33, Guam will be joining states such as California, Illinois, New Hampshire, and Virginia, who all have similar legislation in place that provides menstrual products at no cost to their students. Additionally, countries such as Scotland and New Zealand and England also have similar measures. I ask my colleagues for their support on this bill, and I look forward to any discussion. Suzos Maasi, Mr. Chair.
On the main motion, anyone wishes to be recognized? Representative Yabut, then Representative Lisoma. So we go with Representative Yabut first.
Thank you, Mr. Vice Speaker. I am a proud co-sponsor of this bill, and I'd like to thank Speaker Lorenzo now for giving me that opportunity to take part in legislation that could possibly change the lives of so many young women. Period poverty is an extremely big issue in this island, yet it's something that's rarely talked about, right? We have young women missing school during the week of their period simply because they don't have access to period products because they can't afford them. And just to put that into perspective, there's about 10 months in a school year, and an average period is about 1 week, 5 days, right, which is a school week. So if that's 1 week for 10 months, that's 10 weeks of school that these girls are missing, which is 2.5 months worth of school. Do you know how much you can learn in 2.5 months worth of school? Do you know how much you can miss out on because of your period in 2.5 months worth of school? It's a lot. And there are many girls who are missing that because they can't go to school because they don't have proper access to period products. And even the ones who do choose to go to school and have to use makeshift period products, it's difficult because imagine being a girl and you're sitting in class and you're on your period and you're using something like rolled up toilet paper. Imagine how difficult it is for these girls to pay attention in class. And all of these issues are happening and do happen because they're women who are on their period. It's unfair, really, is what it is. And what this bill does is it doesn't just give access to period products, it allows our female students to get the well-rounded education that they need and deserve, right? I actually spoke at a small forum yesterday, and one of the teachers actually says that she supplies pads and tampons for her students in case they need it. And So that means that even teachers are acknowledging this issue, and that shouldn't have to be a burden that they have to bear if our government can do something about it. And it should. So that's all from me, Mr. Vice Speaker. Thank you.
Thank you, Representative Yabut. Representative Chloe Lisama, you're recognized.
Cesar Maasi, Vice Speaker Labang. I would just like to express my support for this bill, and this is an issue that is way long overdue, and this is something women have been fighting for way too long. Essential hygiene products such as toilet paper, paper towel, and hand soap, and condoms also are already supplied by the schools. What difference would it make for schools to regularly stock feminine hygiene products? From personal experience, females would have to miss out on their education because of their menstrual cycles. And almost every female that I have encountered have all come across a point in their lives where they have had to ask another female for another pad because they simply ran out or because they did not have any at hand. So their alternative would either to be ask another female peer or to use paper towel as an alternative or diapers as an alternative. And that's really such a sad thing because girls do not deserve to go around having stains on their pants when yet there are also males who make fun of girls for having stains on their pants. By making period products free and accessible in all schools, not only will that reduce the absences of female students, but we are saving on the cost of potentially ruined underwear and the waste that comes along with it. The cost of pads and tampons has had a significant impact on those who cannot afford to pay for these products because of financial constraints. The stigma surrounding menstrual products also make it much more difficult to gain access to. And I understand that this conversation can make people feel uneasy, and the conversation of period poverty is very taboo in schools, but females should not have to be ashamed of something that is naturally a part of their lives. And not only would having menstrual products accessible in schools benefit females, but it would also bring the educational awareness to males and females so that everyone would know what goes on in a female's body. Susan Smasi.
Thank you, Representative Lisama. Anyone else on the main motion? Representative Dahili, you're recognized.
Suzus Masi, Mr. Speaker. I'm confident in this measure that it will help to provide the needed service so that all who need access to menstrual hygiene products would be able to have that opportunity afforded to them. And so with that being said, I'd like to offer proffer an amendment to Bill 833 on lines 8, page 2, and lines 11 through 15, page 2, to reread feminine to menstrual hygiene products in Guam Public Middle School and High School, so that we are also inclusive of all genders who go through the menstrual cycles, including transgenders and all individuals who
Representative Dahili, before we move on, I just want to ask everyone if you guys have the copy of the amendment. It's on the Google Drive for Bill 8. Okay. Representative Dahili, you may proceed with the amendment.
Suzus Masi. So the amendment would strike out the term feminine to include menstrual hygiene products. Suzus Masi.
Anyone wishes to be recognized on the amendment? Speaker Lorenzo, you're recognized.
Susan Masi, Mr. Chair, I just wanted to state that I am in full support of this amendment. Like I had previously mentioned, when we talk about period poverty, we need to recognize that not all menstruators are women and not all women menstruate. So Susan Masi, to the mover of this amendment, to be more inclusive to our community. Susan Masi.
Anyone else wishes to be recognized on the amendment? Representative Perez, you're recognized.
Oh, sorry. I mean to may I be recognized for the bill instead of the amendment, Vice Speaker?
Yes.
Okay. I just want to say thank you to all of the reps who were involved on this bill, and
Mr.
We are
Speaker,
still on the
I call a
amendment.
point of
Sorry.
order.
Sorry?
We're still on the amendment.
Okay, I'll go after then.
Okay,
Thank you.
sorry. Anyone else on the Dahilig amendment? Okay, now I'm gonna call for the vote on the Dahilig amendment. Any objection to the Dahilig amendment? Seeing no objection, motion carries. Representative, we're now back on the main motion. Representative Dahilig, you still have the floor.
Sujus Masi, Mrs. Speaker, and Madam Speaker, for your thoughts and everyone's support in favor of including the term menstrual, as we are being inclusive for all genders and transgenders who do menstruate. Sujus Masi.
Thank you, Representative Dahilig. Anyone on the main motion? Representative Perez, you are now recognized.
Thank you, Vice Speaker. I just want to express my full and complete support for this bill. As a member of an all-girls school, I know the pains that comes with our girls having to walk to and from the freshman hallways to the senior hallways, up and down the stairs, even to the nurse's office, just to find one pad, not for an extra one for the next day or for a spare one for their friend, but just to find one because they've just gotten their period in the middle of their class. And I believe that this bill will help further all of our female education, because instead of our girls having to worry about if they have their menstrual cycle, they can focus on their studies and not have the shame and the despair of feeling embarrassed or saddened at the fact that they have their period, which is a natural and completely part of our health care. And I believe that this bill will help liberate and empower all of our all of our female youth and our community as a whole. Thank you.
Thank you, Representative Perez. On the main motion, anyone else wishes to be recognized? Representative Kisusu, you're recognized.
Jesus Masim, Vice Speaker, can I make an amendment to add elementary schools to all the lines that indicate middle and high schools?
Before I entertain your amendment, did you submit the amendment?
No.
No. Madam, we're going to take a short recess. The 33rd Guam Congress is now back from recess. Representative Kisusu, on your amendment.
Jesus Masi, Vice Speaker, I'd like to amend Bill number 8-33, line 11 to 13, page 2, to amend the bill to read, feminine hygiene products in Guam public schools. All public schools in Guam that serve students in grade 5 through grade 12 shall provide feminine hygiene products such as, yeah.
On the amendment, anyone wishes to be heard? Speaker Lorenzo, you're recognized.
Sizos Masi, Mr. Chair, I would also just like to state for the record that I am in full support of this amendment. I believe that when we bring the menstruating products into the schools, that students who do need them have the access to it. So I'm in full support of this amendment. Sizos Masi.
Thank you, Speaker Lorenzo. Anyone else on the Kichuchu amendment? Representative Kisuchu, do you want to close on the amendment?
Yes. I move to close on the amendment. Oh, Jesus Masi, for all who support in this amendment, I do feel that it's important to add this bill to include the younger females in elementary schools.
Thank you, Representative Kisuchu. On the Kisuchu amendment, any objection? Seeing or hearing none, amendment passes. Now we are on the main motion on Bill 8-33. Anyone wishes to be heard? Representative Mantanani, you're recognized.
Mr. Speaker, I have a question for the main sponsor of the bill.
Speaker Lorenzo, would you yield?
Yes, ma'am. Yes, sir.
Representative Mantanani.
Okay, I just want to start off by saying that I am in full support of this bill because in all my years of attending middle and high school, I can understand how hard it is to get these
Representative
products.
Mantanani, please address the
Just the
question to me.
question? Okay.
To the presiding officer. Thank you.
But I understand how hard it is to get these products, especially if you get it in the middle of the day. But I was wondering, where would the funding be coming from should this bill pass?
Speaker Lorenzo.
Sizos Ma'asi, Mr. Chair, and so the answer to that question is that unfortunately the Guam Youth Congress does not have access to requests for funding availability notes. However, I have started the dialogue with Vice Speaker Munya Barnes, and she has confirmed her assistance in helping finding some funding. We are looking at 3 different options right now. Option 1 was that it would be, we would appropriate, based on the study, like $30,000 or however much money it takes to provide to GDOE for these period products. Additionally, as you know, with the stimulus and the CARES, for the reopenings of schools, we can also request that for this program that some of the funding be there as well. And so those would just kind of be some avenues that the dialogue has already started on for funding of this bill. Sizos Masi.
Thank you. Representative Montanani, does that satisfy your question?
Yes, it does. Thank you.
Thank you. Now, Representative Como, you're recognized.
Jesus Maasi, Vice Speaker, I would like to make known my support for this bill, and that by taking actions today, especially in doing this in the public schools, though we have no jurisdiction in private schools, we can set a precedent so that private schools could also take on this task of giving an essential service to those who need it. I ask my private school representatives to vote for this motion and to also bring this back to their respective schools so that it can be implemented even in our private schools. Thank you, Madam Speaker, for this bill, and thank you all for listening to my remarks.
Thank you, Representative Como. On the main motion on Bill 8, anyone else wishes to be heard? Representative Lost Iron, you're recognized.
Cesar Maasi. I'd also just like to I'd like to voice my support for this bill, and I thank you to the main sponsors who introduced this. As someone who identifies as a man, I will never know, and for those of us who also identify as a man, we will never know what it feels like to have to go through the menstrual cycle, to have to deal with this on a regular basis. And, because women endure this, I think it's safe to say they are strong. And I'd like to say that by us, passing this, not only is it a great time for us, being that it's Mes Famalaoan, but it's also it also is quite astounding to me because, I said this at a meeting previously, but this is not something that women deserve. This is something that women should have, that should have been availed to women ever since. And so, women or people who menstruate, people who menstruate don't choose to do so. And so, I think it's really important that we recognize that, we realize that, and we see the urgency and the need for this to be introduced. And, again, I'd also like to say that it's not only, some people don't menstruate on a regular cycle. Some are anemic and they menstruate more than often. Some have irregular menstrual cycles. And so this seems like, a great opportunity to really do good by our Famalaoan and to finally work towards creating a society that is equal and equitable for everyone. And so, again, Cesar Maasi, and I do urge my colleagues, especially those who do not experience menstrual cycle, to support this, because we need to do better by our women and all those who experience this. So, Cesar Maasi.
Thank you, Majority Leader Representative Lost Iron. Anyone else on Bill 8? Seeing none, Speaker Lorenzo, you're welcome to close.
Sizos Maasi, Mr. Chair, and Sizos Maasi to all my colleagues for their discussion and support on this bill. I find that it's fitting that we hear this during Women's Month, and so with the passage of this bill, menstruating students will feel confident, clean, and capable during their cycle. Just to reiterate that, it is essential that when we talk about period poverty, that we recognize that not all menstruators are women, and not all women menstruate. So there are individuals who are probably transitioning and that will identify with a different gender. And so that's why I supported the amendment for changing feminine to menstrual to be more inclusive of those in our community that do need it as well, but identify differently. So with that, I would like to make a motion to place bill number 8-33 as amended on the floor into the third reading file for voting.
There has been a motion to place bill number 8-33 COR to third reading file as amended for voting. Are there any objection? Hearing or seeing none, motion carries. We are now in motion. Majority Leader Lost Iron, you're recognized.
Cesar Maasi. At this time, I'd like to move to have Bill 11-33 discussed, notwithstanding House rules. And to resolve into committee as a whole.
Sorry, Majority Leader, please reinstate your motion.
Sure. Cesar Maasi, at this time, I'd like to ask that we resolve into committee of a whole. Yeah.
There has been a motion to resolve into the Committee of the Whole to discuss Bill number 11-33. Are there any objection? One moment recess. The 33rd Guam Youth Congress is hereby back from recess. Representative Last Iron, you're still recognized.
Cesar Mossy, Mr. Chair, I'd like to make a motion to place bill number 11-33 into the third reading file for discussion.
On the motion to place Bill 11-33 to the third reading file for discussion, is there any objection? Hearing or seeing none, motion carries. Mr. Majority Leader, you're still recognized.
Cesar Mossy, Mr. Chair, I make a motion notwithstanding House rules to resolve into the Committee of the Whole to discuss bill number 11-33.
There has been a motion to resolve into the Committee of the Whole to discuss Bill number 11-33 COR. Are there any objection? Hearing or seeing none, motion carries. We are now in the Committee of the Whole, and Representative Yabit will now preside over the Committee of the Whole. We are now in recess.
The Committee of the Whole is now in order. Before we begin, we will have one round of questions, and each representative will have 4 minutes, not including the time it takes to answer the question. The second round will be for amendments, and the chair will only entertain amendments that have been sent to the GYC session address and have been uploaded on the Google Drive. Any other amendments will be out of order, and the sponsor will be allowed to open and close on the bill, and then I will entertain a motion to rise from the Committee of the Whole. I now recognize primary sponsor of bill number 11-33 COR, Representative Blas Tyron. You are recognized.
Cesar Masi, Madam Chair. And thank you to the committee and to my colleagues for allowing me to speak on Bill 11-33. It's quite an urgent matter, and I hope that each of my colleagues, upon reflection, can support it. This bill is an act to add a new section 7112 to Chapter 7, Title 10, Guam Code Annotated, and to cite this section as patient liberties for surveillance. Our Manamku are revered in our culture, seen as the wisest of our world. They built Guam after the war, and we have a duty to protect and stand up for those before us and for those who have disabilities. What this bill will do is it will require nursing homes as well as adult congregate facilities, personal care homes, domiciliary care homes, adult care homes, homes for the aged, and assisted living facilities to finally be held accountable for the way they treat our senior citizens. It's not commonly talked about, but as many as 10% of elderly citizens reported being abused in a nursing home just in 2012. This does not account for those who experience elder abuse regularly, but were too fearful to come forward, which has been a problem reported by previous organizations. In the United States, 1.6 million people live in approximately 17,000 licensed nursing homes, and another estimated 900,000 to 1 million live in an estimated 45,000 residential care facilities. This is a large segment of the population of this country, and we need to take the stand to protect them. So how do we do so? Well, the way we can combat abuse in these systems, in these elderly care facilities and care homes, is by introducing legislation like this one to ensure that patients are aware of their liberties for surveillance. This bill will require all licensed care facilities and their medical personnel to brief patients upon admission to the home of their right to install surveillance cameras within their living quarters. Now, this is a crucial aspect because of HIPAA, which for those of you who may not be familiar with, HIPAA is the Health Insurance Portability and Accountability Act, which ensures medical confidentiality to all patients. So the entities that run these homes cannot install their own surveillance equipment in living quarters of their patients. Because of that, we need to make these patients aware of their ability and or their guardian's ability to install surveillance cameras within their living quarters so that in the circumstance that they are being abused, there is something that accounts for their experiences and that can contest the medical records that are written by the medical personnel that are in these homes. Now, I'm not one to assume that one would like to hurt another person, but we are all human, and the lack of patience exhibited by certain individuals in the past, in cases like this in the past, should prompt us to have a great concern for the issue at hand. This bill will also require all licensed residential care facilities to install surveillance equipment in all common areas of the facility, because it's needed in order to account for their experiences not only in their own living quarters, but within their kitchens, within the dining rooms. And I just like to echo the sentiments of former Senator Casper Bauer, who is herself a war survivor, who is a member of our Manamku community. She shared that our Manamku aren't just people who lived once and should be forgotten about. Our elderly citizens, our senior citizens, or those with disabilities that benefit from these homes shouldn't just be disregarded or seen as people who are a hindrance to society. These are human beings. These are people that need to be treated with dignity and with respect. And when they're when they're admitted into these homes, that right still stands and that precedent still stands. And so I ask each of you colleagues to do good by the generation who gave us everything and by those with disabilities, because we need to take a stand as the youth to respect them and ensure that these people who benefit from this service are protected. No one should ever experience abuse. And this is a proactive way to combat that issue. And I ask each of you for your support. Si Diyos maasid and ugof agradeci.
Tsu'us Ma'asi, Representative Blas Tyron. We will now begin a round of questions. So for any representative who has a question, you will be recognized. Representative Flores.
Si Diyos Masi, Madam Chair. Does he need to yield? No, right? We're on Committee of the Whole. Dispensa. Representative Blas Tyron, I was just wondering if you could provide insight into the application of similar measures in other jurisdictions.
Mr. Blas Tyron, if you would like to yield to the question.
Si Diyos maasid. I guess could I clarify? Do you mean does the question posed mean in other medical facilities that patients go to?
Just whether similar legislation has been enacted in other states, other territories, other countries even?
To my knowledge, nothing of this capacity has been passed within the states. It's been looked at and examined, but not to my knowledge.
Si Diyos Masi.
Thank you, Representative Blas Tyron. Does any other representative have any other question on the bill? Seeing none, we will now move on to the second round for any amendments that any representative would like to make to the bill. We will take a short recess. We are back from recess. There has been an amendment to line 5, page 3, to amend the bill to read, "C, all surveillance records shall be kept private, otherwise ordered by the court." Mr. Vice Speaker, on the amendment.
Yes, I just want to speak on the amendment because we all know that we have the HIPAA Act, which keeps our medical records private, and I just want to make the bill more clarified in a way that we are not violating any federal acts at the same time.
The floor is now open to discussion on the amendment. Would any representative like to be recognized? Representative Zahilig, you are recognized.
Sujus Masi, Madam Chair, I'd like to offer
Representative Zahilig, if you could speak a little closer and louder into the microphone.
Sounds good. Sujus Masi, Madam Chair, I'd like to express my appreciation for this amendment, as I believe that the confidentiality of any recording should be kept solely to all individuals and parties. So, Sujus Masi, I support the amendment, and I look forward to the passage of this amendment and the bill in general. Sujus Masi.
Sujus Maasi, Representative Zahilig. Representative Blas Tyron, you are recognized.
Cesar Maasi, Madam Chair. I'd also like to just express my appreciation to the sponsor of this amendment for providing these provisions. I think that, it is important that while we are granting and we're looking at this bill looks at making patients aware of their own liberties with surveillance. It is important that oppositely that we allow these recordings to be confidential still, and just to strengthen the bill as a whole. And so I do really appreciate Vice Speaker LeBang's addition to this bill, and I hope my colleagues can support this amendment as well. Sijos Maasi.
Sujus Maasi, Representative Blas Tyron. Any other representatives on the amendment? Seeing or hearing none, Mr. Vice Speaker, if you'd like to close on the amendment.
Yes, before I close, as advised by our parliamentarian in here, I want to to make the language more clarified, to add unless, so it's going to be an amendment to amendment, all surveillance records shall be kept private unless otherwise ordered by the court. So we're just adding the word unless in between private and otherwise.
We're going to open the floor for the amendment to the amendment. Would any representative like to be recognized? Seeing or hearing none, Mr. Vice Speaker.
I'm not going to close on it. I don't have any closing.
Are there any objections to the amendment to the amendment? Seeing or hearing none, we'll now call for the vote. My apologies, motion carries. We're now speaking on the amendment as amended. Would any representative like to be recognized? Seeing or hearing none, are there any objections? My apologies. Mr. Vice Speaker?
I'm waiving the closing statement. I'm waiving the closing statement.
Yes. Oh, my apologies. Okay, so if there are no more discussions, Representative Blas Tyron, you're recognized for your closing remarks on the bill. My apologies. Are there any objections to the amendment as amended? Seeing or hearing none, motion carries. Representative Blas Tyron, now you are recognized for your closing statements.
Sijos Maasi, Madam Chair. And so I'd just like to also state that laws that permit the installation of cameras upon residents' agreement or their prerogative have been passed in Illinois, Kansas, Louisiana, Minnesota, Missouri, New Mexico, Oklahoma, Texas, and Washington. And with that being said, I'd just like to express my utmost appreciation to my colleagues and to the body for their support in this bill. I think that it is a really urgent matter, and as the grandson of someone who had Alzheimer's, and actually my family is the largest branch of Alzheimer's on Guam. It means a lot that our Manamku, when they're in this vulnerable state, when they're in these states where they have to depend on other people, that they are treated with the dignity and the respect they deserve. They've done so much for our island, and people with disabilities go through so many struggles that we can't imagine for us able people. And so it just means a lot that we are taking a step and a stance to ensure the protection of this segment of the population, and we are looking out for them because they deserve to be cared about and to be protected. So si Diyos maasid and si Diyos en benedici todos hamzu.
Zeus Maasi, Representative Blas Tyron, we are now in recess. We are now back in session to discuss Bill 4-33 COR. Sponsor and Speaker Stephanie Lorenzo, on your opening statement, please.
Sizos Maasi, Madam Chair, buenas and hafide, my fellow colleagues. Today, we will be discussing Bill 4, which we hope to fix an unresolved gap in our protection of people and to ensure the continued survival of our small businesses, which heavily rely on food sales as their means of income. Cottage food industries are a group of businesses that are near and dear to many of us. Some of you may have seen the rise of small businesses since the pandemic. Businesses such as breakable hearts on Instagram, charcuterie boards, chocolate-covered strawberries that have all been made for special occasions. Others may know someone that makes empanadas or corn soup. We may have an auntie that makes the best gudgeria or risketti. She sells them on the side. And as island history has always been as an island, our history has always been making ties to our food, especially when it comes to buying and trying others' cooking and spreading different types of traditional foods, each cooked in their own way. Right now, cottage foods are not regulated at all. They are currently sold under the table and are not following a uniform set of guidelines. However, this bill aims to change that by bringing cottage foods into some compliance by mandating certain requirements that must be met before sale. This is by no means attempting to lower the standards of public health or any large-scale companies, but rather it's helping the little guy. It's helping bring small businesses into compliance by recognizing the difficulties that may occur when a small business is slowly getting started. This bill also aims to help our fellow islanders who are struggling to be in compliance, but are still trying to make ends meet. It attempts to help our fellow island residents in moving towards compliance so that no one else has to fear an accidental allergic reaction to the cooking process. This bill aims to help the consumer by protecting them and to help identify the materials used in the ingredients, as well as the producer who is now in compliance with these new set of guidelines. This bill attempts to help those who are struggling, especially with the current economic crisis taking place on our island. It solely attempts to aid our small businesses by restricting it to those companies who make under $20,000 a year. And to put that into perspective, it would be $10 an hour for $20,000 a year, roughly. This prevents larger companies from attempting to take advantage of this program while also promoting the growth and stability of our smaller companies. $20,000 may sound like a lot of money, but depending on the small business, may only contain 20 or less %, especially with the increase in costs. This coming Monday, March 15th, will mark a whole year that COVID has come to our island. We remember island residents that have lost their jobs and the time spent in strict lockdown at stay-at-home orders. But what did we do? We went to the kitchen and we started cooking to pass the time. This bill aims to protect our people, to help our people. It aims to help our struggling entrepreneurs and our consumers by giving them the ability to take the first step towards becoming a larger company. I humbly ask for your support in pushing this matter forward and to help our island's entrepreneurs and for those that have small passion cottage food businesses. Sizos Masi, Madam Chair.
Suzus Maasi, Madam Speaker. Would any representatives like to be recognized on the main motion? Representative Dahilig, you are recognized.
Suzus Masi, Madam Speaker. I would like to ask that the sponsor of the bill abstain from the bill, abstain from voting on the bill, as the sponsor has acknowledged and indicated in caucus meetings that her family has interest in part of the bill. So I do ask that the main sponsor of the bill recuse herself in voting. And with that said, I also like to pose a question to the sponsor of the bill, if she may yield.
Speaker Lorenzo.
Before I yield to the question, I would just like to state a point of personal privilege and information. Yes, I did state that my family we do have a small business, but I just wanted to let the body know that the small business is actually a seasonal business, so we are only in business for 3 months out of the whole 12 months of the year. For you guys to know, we make vanilla stagu, and so of course vanilla stagu is seasonal, and so we never make more than 5,000, I guess, on a good year, and so I just wanted to state that for the body. But yes, I will yield to a question.
Representative Dahilig, your question, please.
Suzus Masi. My question, Madam Speaker, is are there any caveats or any thoughts as how this may impact small businesses who are already in compliance, who may be making less than $20,000 without this bill already in law? Suzus Masi. How would the bill impact small businesses who are already following the laws and all jurisdictions or whatever, making around $20,000? Like, how would that impact the industry in general? If the author could give us a little insight on that. Suzus Masi.
Sizos Masi, Representative Healig, and so if I kind of understand, I apologize, it's probably muffled, but if your question is that If for small businesses who are already in compliance that make less than $20,000, how would this impact them? Well, if they're already in compliance, great, awesome. I think what could happen is that if they don't have the labeling on their products, then they can just add the labeling, for example, for chocolate-covered strawberries. They can include the materials used, the chocolate, any flavoring that was included, and they could just put that in like anywhere that is visible on the packaging of their item. Does that satisfy your question?
Yeah, yes, it does. If I may expand a little bit on my statement, Madam Speaker, if I can.
Go ahead, Representative Dahilig.
Citizen Masi, Madam Speaker, and to the author of the bill, I do see that this bill is important as it will. I do see that the bill is important and the question was answered. Citizen Masi.
Thank you, Representative Dahilig. Would any other representative like to be recognized on the main motion? Representative Lazama, you are recognized.
Citizen Masi, Madam Chair. I would just like to express my support for this bill, and I would also like everyone to take into consideration that working families are the ones that are suffering the most during this pandemic. And families are living off of what they can make to provide for their families. This bill does not take away all of the sanitation laws that are required for businesses. The language of the bill only makes it easier for these businesses to sell their goods because of how hard it is to get public health certification during this time. Guam thrives off of small businesses. Small business is the core foundation as to why Guam's culture is alive and why the culture is shared amongst the people of Guam. We are not only sharing our goods, but this bill is a representation of Chamorro culture. And the bill speaks as to why small and local businesses are such a crucial part to Guam's economic landscape. Citizen Masi.
Thank you, Representative Lazama. Would any other representative like to be recognized on the main motion? I will recognize Representative Blas Tyron and then Representative Valencia, followed by Representative Common.
Madam Chair, I'd also like to just state my support for this bill. I do think that it is an essential component to our island identity. I think that all of us being raised on Guam, we're always encouraged to share our talents and our good acts with others, and so a way of that is by selling these goods. And if we can advocate for the common person who maybe can't afford, the same commercial grade kitchen with the sink that's above $1,000 that has to fit your largest dish, you have to submerge your largest dish in, and other equipment that may be too costly for someone who's just starting their business, then I think that's something we should do as the youth of Guam. We see members of our youth also starting baking businesses, selling different products that not only uphold our cultural recipes but also promote the value of sharing that we hold so dearly in our hearts as Chamorros, as people who call Guam home. And I'd also like to state that I know, in previous meetings, I know there was some concern about the timeliness of this bill and the remarks in it that relate to sanitation. But I would like to say that the language of the bill even includes stipulating requirements for these home kitchens. So we're not necessarily saying that all the sanitation doesn't matter. It's still a very important thing within the context of this bill. But we are looking out for the common person, the person just starting their business, the person trying to put food on their table for them and their families. And I ask my colleagues to think about that and I urge them to please support this bill, because I think that it's important, but it's also essential to not only the survivance of our culture and our cultural values, but to the welfare of the people of Guam who are just trying to make a living. So Sijos Masi to the sponsor and Sijos Masi to the body for hearing me.
Thank you, Rep. Blas Tyron. Representative Valencia, you're recognized.
I would like to propose an amendment to this bill. Would I proceed with my statement? Okay, thank you. So generally, I am in support of this bill 4-33. It places good faith into local producers and also helps to ensure public health. However, Section 4 of the bill, subsection D4, removes some of that trust we place into those local producers. In the instance of food, the primary concern with the sale of these products on a commercial scale is done by way of a producer giving to a store. For example, someone makes empanada in Santa Rita and sells it at Aga Oriental, for example. The problem that arises are from how the store handles the food, not from the producer who placed their trust into the next seller of the food. I hope that we can all agree on this proposition, also discuss it further.
There has been an amendment to line 8, page 5, to amend the bill to read, to cross out subsection 4 on that page. On that amendment are, Madam Speaker.
Sizos Masi, Madam Chair, I would just like to rise in support of this amendment, and I thank the mover of this amendment for introducing it. We did have a discussion last night, and he did express the concerns about, I guess, the EPAN mobile, and just taking that into consideration, I am in support of this amendment. And I will say that when writing cottage food, what was in mind was that it would just be a direct transaction. It would be the maker, producer selling directly to the consumer, no third party involved. And so, Sizos Masi, Representative Valencia, for this amendment, and I'm in support. Thank you, Madam Chair.
Representative Tahilig, you're recognized.
Sijus Masi, Madam Speaker. I oppose the amendment proffered, as this amendment may impact already businesses who are in compliance with any of the rules stated. And so if any of them would want to lower their standards, they might be able to do that with this amendment to the bill. So I think that with the purpose of this bill, it's to allow entrepreneurs to get their feet dipped into the waters of, some of the products that they would like to sell. And I think that this bill, as introduced, is already doing so. But with this amendment, it will impact, the industry in general for those who are already offering, following all the rules and regulations. And so I don't think that this bill or this resolution would serve the greater good of the community and the public in general. So I am in favor of keeping this language as part of the original bill. Sijus Masi.
Thank you, Representative Helig. Would any other representative like to be recognized on the amendment? Seeing or hearing none, we will now call for a vote on the amendment. Yes, we will now call for a vote on the amendment. All in favor, please raise your hand. Amendment fails. We are now back on the main motion. Representative Common, if you'd still like to be recognized.
Sizos Masi, Madam Chair. The record shows that I am supportive of this bill when it was in committee because the intention it holds to benefit and legitimize cottage industry businesses. But what I am not in support of is cutting back the requirements issued by public health or the EPA. But rather, we should keep these requirements and we should ask ourselves the question, why are these things implemented in the first place? One of the requirements that we seek to exempt is the kitchen being separated from the house. And I see the reason why this was implemented due to a case in March 14, 2005 in the Philippines, where a cassava food vendor poisoned 27 children, and they were killed as a result. This was a simple accident where the mistake was pesticide was used instead of flour. This could be the reason why certain precautions are implemented, and this should teach us that the precautions that are implemented prevent these accidents. We should rather force the people to meet the standards rather than exempting them. If a business is already following common sense sanitation rules, they should meet the standards. Also, this bill was not supported in the first place when it was brought up in the legislature by Tina Munya Barnes by Public Health. And the way I see it is Public Health is the specialist in these things. If I was to have a disease or anything, I would rather talk to the specialist and have the specialist prescribe the solution rather than anyone else. So, in that, I urge my colleagues to consider the health and the safety of our constituents when they vote for this bill. That concludes my testimony and my sentiments on this bill. Thank you.
Thank you. Representative Makepeace, you're recognized, sir.
Buenas and Hafa colleagues. I stand in support of this bill. This bill serves to help the people of Guam, both the consumer and the producer. This bill aims to help the producer by adding compliance, by adding certain restrictions, certain guidelines that they have to follow. This bill helps them to start the road to compliance. Right now, public health, it is all or nothing. So this bill, however, offers a stepping stone, offers a way to get into that compliance, offers an opportunity to build up compliance. And that way, we are helping to protect the people of Guam. This bill also helps the consumers who purchase these products, these cottage foods. This bill includes measures that help protect them by including a list of all the ingredients that are being provided, the method of cooking. And this bill also mandates that they have to provide contact information, location, contact number. So that way, this ensures that any possible accidents have a record, that they can see where the issue is. This bill does not intend to lower the standards. In fact, it's trying to do the opposite. This bill is trying to help those who are not in compliance have a means to start getting into compliance. This bill offers to help protect those people. Right now, everything is being done under the table. So let's stop this measure. Let's stop the under the table and let's bring it to light. Let us have this bill, which includes compliance, to ensure that those people who are producing it and who are consuming it are safe. This bill does not reduce compliance for others. That is not the intent of this bill. For those already in compliance, this bill would only mandate that they have to add the ingredients that they are using as well as their contact information. This bill is designed to help those who are struggling in an economic crisis. Guam was hit very hard with COVID. We were locked down for many months. We are still struggling to regain our economic foothold. And many of these small companies have started throughout the island. If you look online, you'll see them. If you've gone to the rosaries, you'll see them. This bill aims to help those people, to help the little person, to help them have some compliance, some means of showing that they are doing an honest effort to do their best to make sure that they are staying safe. This bill is not trying to hurt others. This bill is not trying to lower anything. This bill is trying to give our people a chance. There are many things that go into having the restrictions as they are. And the restrictions are there for a reason. But this bill helps people build towards full compliance. It is set at the limit that it is, $20,000, which is not a lot. It may seem a lot for some of us, but that is less than 20% or less than that of what can be in a total expenses. There's so much that goes into making a business, so much heart and soul that is put into it. And we're trying to help protect those people and to help protect those people that they're selling to. This bill offers hope to these small industries that are trying to start up. And that is why I ask for your support.
Thank you, Representative Makepeace. Any other representatives on the main motion? Representative Villanueva.
Thank you, Madam Chair. I just wanted to ask two questions. So first, I would like to ask, what would happen if a cottage business doesn't register to be a food cottage, or for a food cottage licensure? Like, would there be any consequences to them? And my second question is, how would the surveillance of the cottage business, with like all the requirements listed above, after having the licensure, how would Guam Public Health look into if they're still following the requirements to that, you know? So yeah, thank you.
Speaker Lorenzo, would you like to yield to the questions?
Sizos Masi, Madam Chair, I would like to yield to the questions, but if I can ask that the previous speaker repeat her questions, I apologize, but the muffling of the mask is, I cannot hear.
Representative Villanueva, if you could move the mic closer and also speak louder into the microphone, please.
Okay, what would happen if a cottage business doesn't register to have like the food cottage licensure? Like, would there be any consequences to them? And how would the surveillance, or like after you have your licensure, would Guam Public Health have surveillance of if they're still following the requirements listed above that?
Sizos Masi, Madam Chair. So yes, I would yield to the question. And in terms of surveillance, DPHSS will do their regular rounds of checking in on these cottage food businesses to make sure that they are in compliance. DPHSS can ask for a breakdown of like how many did you sell, and apologies, one moment.
Oh shit. What would happen? What would happen if the cottage business doesn't register for a food cottage licensure?
Sizos Masi. So if a cottage food business was to register under this bill, then they would just be they would be in compliant. They would follow all the packaging, labeling, and I hope all representatives have the committee report in front of them, but we were able to speak with GUMA, Ms. Monica Guzman, to gain some more understanding of cottage food and how it has helped our economy and how it has helped our island. So if the representatives want to take a look at that as well, but Sizos Masi. Representative Villanueva, does that satisfy your questions?
Yes, thank you.
Thank you very much, Speaker Lorenzo. Would any other representative like to be recognized on the main motion?
Madam Chair, I'd like to make a motion for a 10-minute recess.
We are in recess. We are back from recess. Representative Valencia, you are recognized, sir.
Madam Chair, notwithstanding the House rules, I move to reconsider the actions of the body on a floor and introduce for Bill number 4-33. Again, the amendment is for page 5, line 8. And if I could reiterate on the concern, it's not to lower the standards of any store that sells these products. It's more so to enable cottage businesses to be able to sell on the commercial scale or with commercial entities. Clarification.
There has been a motion notwithstanding House rules to reconsider Representative Valencia's floor amendment. We will now call for another vote. All representatives. Oh, my apologies. Are there any objections on that motion? Seeing or hearing none, we'll now call for Representative Dahilig. You are recognized.
Sujus Masim, Madam Chair, just for clarification, what is being voted on right now?
Yes, we will call for a revote if the motion passes.
Oh, the revote for which?
On the amendment, sir.
Okay. I object.
Yes. Are there any objections to the reconsideration of the amendment? Representative Dahilig.
I object, Madam Chair, and if I may, provide my reasoning for objecting.
Excuse me, can you speak louder into the mic, Representative Dahilig?
Sounds good. I object, and if possible, provide my reasoning for my objection.
It is not a debatable motion.
Okay, sounds good.
Okay. All those in favor for the reconsideration of the amendment, please raise your hand. Motion passes. We will now call for a revote on the Valencia amendment. All those in favor, please raise your hand once again.
Madam Speaker, if I may interject, could we have discussion on this revote?
There will be no discussion on the revote. All representatives in favor of the Valencia amendment, please raise your hand. Motion passes. So, yes, the amendment has been passed. We are now back on the main motion. Would any representatives like to be recognized at this time? If there are none, Speaker Lorenzo, on your closing statement, please. Oh, my apologies. Representative Pareda?
I would like to yield my time to Representative Dahilig.
Representative Dahilig?
Sujus Maasi, Madam Chair. I'm kind of perplexed as to why we reconsidered the amendment that we talked about, and as we've already disclosed discussion, but that's the case for it. With the bill as amended on the floor by the body, I think that this bill would now be more of a hindrance into the economy, as it will be impacting, it may have a negative impact on the businesses who are already in compliant, as they will be fighting for the space on the shelf with people who are not actively paying any of the requirements or permits that are already on the floor. So now we're going to have a battle between people who don't have the right permits and between the people who have been in this business for the long run and they've already been established. So I think that with this amendment and the bill that is amended on the floor is going to be a disaster for the economy, you know? And if we want to protect our small businesses, this is not the way to do so. This is Mossy.
Thank you, Representative Helig. Any other representatives on the main motion? Seeing or hearing none, Speaker Lorenzo, on your closing statements, please.
Mrs. Mossy, Madam Chair, I would like to waive my closing statements. Yes, I would like to waive my closing statements.
Okay, we are in recess. We are back from recess. Speaker Lorenzo, you're recognized, ma'am.
Mrs. Mossy, Madam Chair, I make a motion notwithstanding House rules to rise from the Committee of the Whole.
There has been a motion to rise out of the Committee of the Whole. On that motion, are there any objections? Seeing or hearing none, motion passes. We are in recess.
The 33rd Guam Congress is back from recess. Representative Yabut, you're recognized.
Thank you, Mr. Vice Speaker. I'd like to move Bill 11 and 4 out of the committee of the whole.
On the motion to move Bill 11 from the committee of the whole, is there any objection? Seeing no objection, motion carries. Majority Leader Vicente Blasiron, you're recognized to move the bill.
Jesus Masi, Mr. Chair. I'd like to make a motion to move the bill to the third voting file.
On the motion to place Bill number 11-33 to the third reading file, is there any objection for voting? Seeing no objection, motion carries. Speaker Lorenzo, you're recognized.
Susan Masi, Mr. Chair, I would like to make a motion to place Bill number 4-33 COR into the third reading file for voting as well.
On the motion to place Bill number 4-33 COR to the third voting file, is there any objection? There has been an objection. All those who are in favor for placing Bill 4-33 COR to the third reading file, please vote by raising your hand. Motion passes. We are now in motion, so we'll take a short recess.
Susan Masi, we are back in recess. We are on we are back in motions. Representative Flores, you're recognized.
Jesus Masi, Madam Speaker. I move to place resolution number 1-33 in the third voting file. The third reading file, my apologies.
Susan Masi, there's been a motion to place resolution 1-33 COR into the third reading file for discussion. Any objections? Hearing none, motion passes. Representative Flores.
Jesus Masi, Madam Speaker. Thank you, colleagues. Sorry, let me adjust this. Can I take it off? Okay. Resolution number 1-33 seeks to, oh my goodness, is relative to recognizing and celebrating Isakan 2021 as Isakan Samoru, commemorating historian Tautautano, and reaffirming Iman Hobing Wahan's commitment to Itzalanta Motna. So this resolution, of course, is introduced as part of Mes Tomorrow, but goes a step further and makes it so that the entire year of 2021 is known as Isakan Tomorrow, the year of the Tomorrow people, and it advances the notion that living our culture, perpetuating our culture, and celebrating our culture, celebrating our identity, celebrating ourselves, does not just occur for 30 days and does not just occur with a Viva Mes Tomorrow for a 30-day time span within the year. It furthers the notion that our culture, our identity, it must be nurtured and brought to life in all that we do each and every day. This resolution further recognizes the continuance of our culture from when Itautautano, the indigenous people, the indigenous Chamorro people of Guam, first made their journey across the ocean over 3,500 years ago and made Guahan their home. It recognizes the Chamorro story, historian Tautautano, and the story that begins, again, over 3,500 years ago, but that continues today, a story that we are carrying forward, a story that we are actors in, a story that we are agents in driving. And it recognizes the achievements of our people. It recognizes the seafaring achievements the Suckmans that the Europeans marveled at, the Lati we continue to be marveled at today. And it recognizes that despite all that we've been through, be it colonization, be it war, be it natural disaster, we are still here as we have been, again, for 3,500 years and beyond. And further, Madam Speaker, it embodies that we here today, the youth especially, are tasked with carrying our heritage and our culture forward. And this resolution further celebrates that renaissance of culture, language, and identity that is occurring within our community, and further celebrating all those who are playing an active role in living the culture. And lastly, Madam Speaker, the resolution seeks to reaffirm our commitment, this body's commitment, as we speak on behalf of Todui Manhobing Guahan, that we are dedicated to our path forward and this intimate connection between culture, values, and valuing what we have and what we are, and using it to empower our continued path toward moral self-determination, decolonization, and resistance to our continued colonization and the militarization of our land. Sizos Masi, Madam Speaker.
Sizos Masi, Representative Flores. Would any representative like to speak on the resolution? Representative Blas Tyrone, you're recognized.
Sizos Masi, Madam Speaker. I'd just like to thank the main sponsor of this bill for the opportunity to co-sponsor, but also for just really reaffirming the stance we should take as the youth to stand up for the Chamorro culture and to celebrate it. You know, not many cultures live through so many struggles. We've endured mass amounts of diseases from Spanish colonial times to the occupation of Japanese forces. And current day, we are deprived of so many rights we should have under the colonizer of the United States of America. And so our people have shown strength and resilience, and we've shown that our culture can withstand and is stronger than any challenge that is put before us. And so I just thank the sponsor for this, for introducing it, and for stressing the point that our culture is not limited to 30 days. It should be celebrated year-round, each day, in our actions, in our beliefs, in the way we treat others. We should, embody the Nafat Malik spirit, Fat Tautau, to treat others with humility, and to really revisit who we are as a people and where we're going. Because wherever we're going, our culture is going to be there, and there's no way it's not. So, Sijos Maasi for this opportunity, or Sijos Maasi for hearing me.
Sizos Masi, Representative Blas Tyrone. Would any other representative wish to speak on Resolution 1-33? Hearing or seeing none, Representative Flores, you are invited to close.
Sizos Masi, Madam Speaker. I'd just like to thank my colleagues again and thank the body for their support of this resolution. I think it's very fitting that the first resolution we introduced, it kind of looks back on what we've had for so many years. It looks on currently to what we have now, and then we continue to look forward to what we are working towards in all the bills and all the resolutions that we pass and all the works that we do within our respective schools and communities. This dedication to freeing our people from the continued colonization and really celebrating our culture, living our culture, and doing it for the entire year, not just 30 days of 365. Sizos Masi, Madam Speaker.
Sizos Masi, Representative Flores, on the motion?
Yes, dispensa. I move to place resolution number 1-33 in the voting file, Madam Speaker.
Sizos Masi, there has been a motion to place Resolution 1-33 COR into the third reading file for voting. Are there any objections? Hearing or seeing none, motion passes. Representative Vicente Tyrone, you are recognized.
Sizos Maasi, Madam Speaker. Is this on the resolution? Oh, okay, sorry. So Resolution 2-33 is similar in nature to Resolution 1-33, with the exception that this resolution focuses on commending youth cultural practitioners and organizations for their crucial work in helping to preserve the rich heritage of our island home. I think that it's amazing how our Manhoban are stepping up to take ownership of our culture and its preservation. And they recognize the crucial part it plays in the identity of Guahan and in the Marianas in general. And so I would like to just take this time, I wanted to just take this time and then prepare this resolution to make sure that their hard work doesn't go unheard. Because there are so many youth activists, there are so many youth organizations that are doing wonderful things on and off social media during this time to prepare and advocate for the preservation of our language, of our history, of our arts, of our culture in general. And so that's what this resolution aims to do. It aims to, shine light on the acts that these people are doing who are going against colonizer culture and standing up for their right to practice their own culture, to believe in themselves, and to keep the Chamorro culture alive. And so I ask each of my colleagues to please support this resolution. This is a statement to show that the youth are committed to preserving our culture for future generations to come. The youth serve as a unique vehicle for cultural preservation, because when you start, when you advocate for the importance of culture when you're young, it follows you. It follows you into your adulthood, and you gain a greater sense of appreciation for who you are and your identity as a Chamorro or as someone who lives on Guam. And so, I feel it's somewhat obligatory to acknowledge their acts. And I've expressed this before, but if whoever lives on Guam, despite their ethnic background, has a responsibility to learn about the culture of Guam, and that's again something that we see these organizations doing. And I do welcome, anybody who has an organization that they want to add. I do welcome amendments to the resolution. So, Sizos Masi, everyone, for hearing me and for listening to me and for listening to why this is important.
Sizos Masi, Representative Blas Tyrone. Would any representative wish to speak on resolution number 2-33? Representative Flores, you're recognized.
Sizos Masi, Madam Speaker. So I can address maybe the elephant in the room that resolutions number 2-33 and 1-33 are very similar. But I did coordinate, we did work with each other, and we decided that I would take care of the more blanket resolution, recognizing the greater community. And then, of course, this is also necessary, resolution number 2-33, to really highlight the individuals, the organizations by name that are often, overlooked, and we know they're doing great work in the community. We know that they're actively furthering the culture, furthering Natlatla y Koturata y Linguahita, and it's important that we have it symbolically in this resolution. So I'd like to thank Representative Blas Tyrone for introducing this and for allowing the body to review this and see these organizations, some of which I'm not too familiar with, but I know are doing great work within the community. Sizos Masi.
Sizos Masi, Representative Flores, for your remarks. Would any other representative wish to speak on resolution 2-33? Hearing or seeing none, Representative Blas Tyrone, you're invited to close.
Sizos Masi, Madam Speaker. At this time, I'd like to make a motion to place resolution 2-33 in the voting file.
Sizos Masi, there's been a motion to place resolution 2-33 COR into the voting file. Are there any objections? Hearing or seeing none, motion carries. Representative Blas Tyrone, you're recognized on resolution 3.
Sizos Masi. I think that this is a very important and significant resolution. It is Mes Famalaoan, and this resolution is basically focused on not only a village hero, but a hero for our island, and she has a rich legacy that she's left behind. Ladies and gentlemen, this resolution urges the Guam Police Department to rename the Central Precinct Command in honor of Lieutenant Concepcion Belahaja Dueñas, who was the first police woman on Guam and was a former mayor of my great municipality, Tamuring Tuman and Harmon. But beyond that, she was a dedicated public servant and a champion of the people. Auntie Connie, as she was fondly known, or Auntie Tong, was the founder of the Victims Advocate was the founder of the Victim Advocates Reaching Out, or VERO, which now currently has a chapter under AmeriCorps. She served on the Guam Parole Board, and she was also a member of the Faithful Christian Mothers. She is a testament to the strength of our Chamorro women and to all women. She beat the barriers, she broke the glass ceiling, and she did it with an obligation to give back to the island that gave so much to her. And so, for those of you who are unfamiliar with the background of the Central Precinct Command, towards the end of the previous administration, it was set in public law to be named after her. However, unfortunately, due to miscommunication between two entities, the Guam Police Department and the Guam Housing and Urban Renewal Authority, the grant applied for did not have the correct namesake. And so it has yet to be renamed in honor of Auntie Connie of Concepcion Belahaja Dueñas. And so this resolution seeks to honor her and her legacy because there are a lot of unsung heroes on our island, and Auntie Connie being one of them, who did so much, but unfortunately their stories are not known. I also think that it's important that we look at, her legacy as a policewoman, hired into the Department of Public Safety back in 1955, and then later serving on the police force for 26 years and retiring as a lieutenant in 1976, something that was very much not common for women officers at the time. After retiring, Auntie Connie continued a life of public service, and she was the vice mayor of Tumaning Harmon from 1997 through 2001, and was elected as the first female mayor of our village of Tumaning and Harmon. She was married to Juan San Agustin Dueñas, and she has 3 daughters, 1 son, and 10 grandchildren, 8 grandchildren and 8 siblings. And as someone from the village, I've interacted with her family through the process of doing this, and I will say that they're absolutely lovely people, and the legacy that she placed on our village and on our island, it's erasable. It's inerasable. And so I would just like to ask my colleagues to support this and to take a stance to honor this great woman and to set the precedent that more of our island's people should be acknowledged for the great work that they do. And so with that being said, I ask for my colleagues' support. Sizos Masi.
Sizos Masi, Representative Blas Tyrone. Would any other representative wish to speak on Resolution 3-33? Representative Kichicho, you're recognized.
Sizos Masi, Madam Speaker. I fully support this bill not only as a daughter of Guahan, but also as an indigenous Chamorro woman. What better month to recognize Concepcion Belahaja Dueñas during Mes Chamorro and Women's History Month? May we recognize her as a woman of service, dedication, and commitment to her community, and may we honor her by naming the Sinahanya Precinct in her name to remind our island and its people to find inspiration among our local leaders and community servants, no matter what field they may be in. Not only has she stood up for victims of domestic violence, sexual assault, abuse, and traumatic experiences, but she has served as a law enforcement officer, and how often do you hear about that in law enforcement? Not often. So may her legacy live on in the hearts of those people she made an impact on, and I hope that the legacy of Concepcion Belahaja Dueñas lives on in future hearts of those who she will motivate and inspire through the passing of this resolution. Sizos Masi to Representative Vicente Tyrone.
Sizos Masi, Representative Kichicho. Would any other representative wish to speak? Representative Dahila, you are recognized.
Sizos Masi, Madam Speaker, I support this resolution, Lieutenant Concepcion Belahaja Dueñas, and the work that she has done. Her legacy permeates not through the work that she has completed, but through her children and her grandchildren. And so this resolution, I support the resolution and hope for its passage. Sizos Masi.
Sizos Masi, Representative Dahila. Would any other representative wish to speak? Representative Gale, you're recognized.
I would also like to show my support for this bill, not only because she broke many barriers for law enforcement becoming, breaking the barrier of who and could do such things. And also because she was just an outstanding citizen in general. She contributed so much to the law enforcement done in Guam, and I believe she deserves to be commemorated for such.
Suzus Masi, Representative Gale. Would any other representative wish to speak on the resolution? Okay, hearing or seeing none, Representative Blas Tyrone, you're welcome to close.
Cesar Masi, to each of my colleagues who shared their sentiments in support of this bill. And, I think that by us, if should we pass this, we're making a message that, indigenous people, indigenous youth, indigenous women, and, all the women of Guam can do great things. They can break barriers, and they continue to break barriers. And they're continuing to just push the envelope to make a more equal and equitable society for all people. And so I also think, I just like to reiterate my appreciation and to say that not only did former Mayor Duenas lead in such prestigious and accomplished roles in society, but she led with faith. Everything she did was with faith and grace. It was with a true and genuine motivation to help the people of the island she loved, and her legacy will always remain. So, Sijos Maasi to everyone, and I thank you. And Madam Speaker, at this time, I'd like to make the motion to place Resolution 3-33 in the third voting file.
Suzus Masi, Representative Blas Tyrone. There's been a motion to place Resolution 3-33 into the third reading file for voting. Are there any objections? Hearing or seeing none, motion passes. Vice Speaker Labeng, you are recognized on Resolution 4.
Thank you, Madam Speaker. Madam Speaker, I move to place Resolution 4-33 COR to the third reading file for discussion.
Suzus Masi, there has been a motion to place Resolution 4-33 COR into the third reading file for discussion. Are there any objections? Hearing or seeing none, motion passes. Vice Speaker Labeng, you are recognized.
On March 15, 2020, our island reported its first case of COVID-19. The following day, the governor of Guam had ordered the closure of non-essential government offices and non-essential businesses. In the current pandemic that we are still facing, we have heroic and brave frontline workers, both from public and private sectors, who are part of the response to stop the spread of virus and contain it. We have employees of the Guam Department of Public Health and Social Services who work tirelessly to contain the spread of the virus on the island, together with the medical workers from the Guam Memorial Hospital, Guam Regional Medical City, and the U.S. Naval Hospital. Treating people who are infected by the virus, and then some nurses have even obtained the virus due to the shortage of personal protective equipment. We have our law enforcement officers who implemented the governor's lockdown procedures, and the National Guard who made ensure that quarantine facilities are managed and that they are now doing vaccination so that we can reach our herd immunity. We have people from the Guam Joint Information Center, Guam Homeland Security, and Office of Civil Defense who provided the people of Guam valuable and reliable information to be educated about the virus. We also have employees from the Guam Department of Labor and Guam Department of Revenue and Taxation who work to ensure unemployment assistance and financial relief for the people of Guam was processed. We have teachers who made sure that education of all students on island continues. The Guam Department of Education personnel, Serve Guam Commission, and AmeriCorps programs who made sure that students still afforded free lunches through grab-and-go pickups within the schools. Our village mayors and their employees worked tirelessly to provide their residents supplies and food packages, and restaurant employees who provided takeout services to make sure that people of Guam have enough food to eat to be able to survive this pandemic. We have grocery store employees and hardware store employees who kept working to make sure that people can get necessary supplies for their needs. and frontline workers that worked through the pandemic to provide the people of Guam services to make sure that the people's lives continue despite of it. This coming March 15, 2021 will mark the 1-year anniversary since Guam reported its first case of COVID-19 on island. And this resolution is just simply making that day to honor our frontline workers and thanking them and their families for their sacrifices that they have made this pandemic.
Sizos Maasi, Vice Speaker Labang, would any other representative wish to speak on Resolution 4-33? Representative Chloe Lazama, you are recognized.
Sizulis Maalsi, Madam Speaker. This year has been definitely one of the hardest years for, hopefully I can say all of us, but it is, despite all that has happened and despite that, all that we've gone through in the past year, we are still standing strong. And it is because of the frontline workers, from the teachers to the nurses, the doctors, and to all of everyone that has taken hand in making sure that we all stay safe. Not only have we lost so many people, but thousands of Guam's people have gone unemployed and jobless, and it has forced students out of school, and students will not be able to get the full educational experience that they have. But despite all that we've been through, we are still standing strong, and we are still together in this, and this is something that we can conquer in the future. So, Sizos Masi for this resolution.
Sizos Maasi, Representative Chloe Lazama, would any other member wish to speak on Resolution 4-33? Hearing or seeing none, Vice Speaker Labang, you're welcome to close.
Madam Speaker, I move to place Bill 4-33 COR to the voting file.
Sizos Maasi, there's been a motion to place Resolution 4-33 into the voting file. Are there any objections? Hearing or seeing none, motion passes. Representative Yabut, you are recognized on Resolution 5-33.
Thank you, Madam Speaker. I'd like to make a motion to place Resolution 5-33 COR into the third reading file for discussion.
Sizos Maasi, there's been a motion to place Resolution 5-33 into the third reading file for discussion. Are there any objections? Hearing or seeing none, motion passes. Representative Yabut, you're recognized.
Thank you, Madam Speaker. Resolution 5-33 is relative to recognizing the month of April 2021 as Guam Youth Month and to further commending the numerous organizations, advocates, and service providers in Guam for their tremendous efforts in promoting the youth of Guam. We hear all the time, right, that we are the leaders of tomorrow, and I really just wanted to introduce this resolution to acknowledge the month of April and acknowledge all of the organizations that play a role in shaping our youth to be the best that we can be. I always say that one of our best strengths as a body and as young people is that we are young and we have so many great perspectives, and it's also important to acknowledge organizations like the Girl Scouts, the Boy Scouts, IBOGs, DYA, because they have all played a role in really shaping the youth of the island, and this resolution is really just to recognize the month of April as Guam Youth Month and to commend these organizations for their contributions in shaping the youth of our island. Thank you, Madam Speaker.
Sizos Maasi, Representative Yabut, would any representative like to speak on Resolution 5-33? Representative Blas Tyrone, you're recognized.
Sizos Maasi, Madam Speaker. I just wanted to say Sandangkluna Sizos Maasi to the sponsors of this resolution for really seeing it fit to acknowledge April as Guam Youth Month, but also acknowledging the different facets in the youth that we have that really give the youth the opportunity to voice, express themselves, voice their concerns, and show that they are, we are capable of not only being the leaders of tomorrow, but to echo the words of former Speaker Christian Valencia, the youth are the leaders of today. And so I think that it's important that we acknowledge that, and we see that we are capable, we find it within ourselves that we are capable of leading, of being respected and of doing work that will impact our community. And I think that this resolution does a great job of really stating that and making that statement. So, Cesar Mossy.
Cesar Mossy, Representative Blas Tyrone. Would any other member wish to speak on Resolution 5-33? Hearing or seeing none, Representative Yaba, you are welcome to close.
Thank you, Madam Speaker. I move to place Resolution 5-33 into the voting file.
Cesar Mossy, there's been a motion to place Resolution 5-33 into the third reading file for voting. Any objections? Hearing or seeing none, motion passes. Representative Blas Tyrone, you are recognized.
Madam Speaker, I'd like to make a motion, notwithstanding House rules, to add Resolution 6-33 to the session agenda and for it to be given its first reading.
Cesar Mossy, there's been a motion to place Resolution 6-33 onto the session agenda. Are there any objections? There has been an objection. This is a non-debatable, so we are going to call it for a vote. All representatives who are in favor of having Resolution 6-33 onto session agenda, please raise your hand to place Resolution 6-33 to session agenda. The motion fails. Cesar Mossy, we are back on the legislative items. Representative Blas Tyrone, you are recognized.
Cesar Mossy, Madam Speaker. At this time, I'd like to make a motion to have second roll call reflect first roll call.
Cesar Mossy, Representative Blas Tyrone, there's been a motion to have second roll call reflect first roll call. Are there any objections? Hearing or seeing none, motion passes. We're in a brief recess before we start voting. Cesar Mossy. The 33rd Guam Youth Congress is back in recess. We are now on legislative item. We are now on the voting file. Mr. Recording Secretary, please read the title. For Bill 8-33, COR as amended on the floor.
Bill number 8-33, as amended on the floor, introduced by Speaker Stephanie Lorenzo, Representative Camacho, and Legislative Secretary Yabut. An act to add a new section 7117 to Chapter 7 of Title 17 Guam Code Annotated, relative to the requirement of Guam Department of Education and all Guam Department of Education schools to provide and regularly stock menstrual hygiene products in all Guam schools, and to cite this as the Period Poverty Act of 2021.
Mr. Recording Secretary, roll call, please.
Representative Bailey. Representative Bailey, aye. Representative Blas Tyrone.
Hungan.
Representative Blas Tyrone, aye. Representative Chung.
Aye.
Representative Chung, aye. Representative Common.
Hungan.
Representative Common, aye. Representative DeHelig.
Pass.
Representative DeHelig, pass. Representative DeGracia.
Aye.
Representative DeGracia, aye. Representative Flores.
Hungen.
Representative Flores, aye. Representative Gale.
Hungen.
Representative Gale, aye. Vice Speaker LeBang.
Aye.
Vice Speaker LeBang, aye. Representative Legman.
Aye.
Representative Legman, aye. Representative Lizama.
Aye.
Representative Lizama, aye. Speaker Lorenzo.
Hungan.
Speaker Lorenzo, aye. Representative Makepeace.
Aye.
Representative Makepeace, aye. Representative Matanani.
Aye.
Representative Matanani, aye. Representative Pareda. Representative Pareda, out during roll call. Representative Perez.
Aye.
Representative Perez, aye. Representative Kitito.
Hungan.
Representative Kitito, aye. Representative Ujoa.
Aye.
Representative Ujoa, aye. Representative Valencia.
Aye.
Representative Valencia, aye. Representative Villanueva.
Aye.
Representative Villanueva, aye. Representative Wang.
Aye.
Representative Wang, aye. Legislative Secretary Yabit.
Aye.
Legislative Secretary Yabit, aye. Representative Helig.
Aye.
Representative Helig, aye.
Sizos Maasi, Bill number 8-33, COR as amended on the floor has been duly passed by this body. Mr. Recording Secretary, please read the title for Bill 11-33.
Bill 11-33 as amended in the Committee of the Whole, introduced by Vicente Blas Tyron. An act to add a new section 7124 to Chapter 7, Title 10, Guam Code Annotated, and to cite this section as patient liberties for surveillance.
Mr. Recording Secretary, roll call, please.
Representative Bailey.
Aye.
Representative Bailey, aye. Representative Blas Tyron.
Hungan.
Representative Blas Tyron, aye. Representative Chung.
Aye.
Representative Chung, aye. Representative Common.
Hungan.
Representative Common, aye. Representative DeHelig.
Hungen.
Representative DeHelig, aye. Representative DeGracia.
Aye.
Representative DeGracia, aye. Representative Flores.
Hungen.
Representative Flores, aye. Representative Gale.
Hungen.
Representative Gale, aye. Vice Speaker LeBang.
Aye.
Vice Speaker LeBang, aye. Representative Lagman.
Aye.
Representative Lagman, aye. Representative Chloe Lizama.
Aye.
Representative Chloe Lizama, aye. Speaker Lorenzo.
Hungan.
Speaker Lorenzo, aye. Representative Makepeace.
Aye.
Representative Makepeace, aye. Representative Matanani.
Aye.
Representative Matanani, aye. Representative Pareda. Representative Pareda. Representative Pareda out during roll call. Representative Perez.
Aye.
Representative Perez, aye. Representative Kitito.
Hungan.
Representative Kitito, aye. Representative Ujoa.
Aye.
Representative Ujoa, aye. Representative Valencia.
Aye.
Representative Valencia, aye. Representative Villanueva.
Aye.
Representative Villanueva, aye. Representative Wang.
Aye.
Representative Wang, aye. Legislative Secretary Yabit.
Aye.
Legislative Secretary Yabit, aye.
Sizos Maasi, Bill number 11-33, COR as amended in the Committee of the Whole has been duly passed by this body. My apologies. Recording Secretary, title, please read the title on Bill 4-33, COR.
Bill number 4-33 COR as amended in the Committee of the Whole, introduced by Stephanie F.L. Lorenzo. An act to amend Section 72157B of Chapter 72, Title 11, Guam Code Annotated, and Sections 24101 and 24102, and add a new Section 24108 to Chapter 24, Title 10, Guam Code Annotated, relative to exempting home kitchens licensed as a home industry from sanitation laws and stipulating requirements for these home kitchens.
Mr. Recording Secretary, roll call, please.
Representative Bailey.
Nay.
Representative Bailey, nay. Representative Blas-Tyron.
Hungan.
Representative Blas-Tyron, aye. Representative Chung.
Aye.
Representative Chung, aye. Representative Common.
Ahi.
Representative Common, nay. Representative DeHelig.
Ahi.
Representative DeHelig, nay. Representative DeGracia.
Aye.
Representative DeGracia, aye. Representative Flores.
Pass.
Representative Flores, pass. Representative Gale.
Pass.
Representative Gale, pass. Vice Speaker LeBang.
Aye.
Vice Speaker LeBang, aye. Representative Lagman.
Nay.
Representative Lagman, nay. Representative Chloe Lazama.
Aye.
Representative Chloe Lazama, aye. Speaker Lorenzo.
Hungan.
Speaker Lorenzo, aye. Representative Makepeace.
Aye.
Representative Makepeace, aye. Representative Matanani.
Aye.
Representative Matanani, aye. Representative Pareda. Representative Pareda out during roll call. Representative Perez.
Pass.
Representative Perez, pass. Representative Kitsito.
Hungan.
Representative Kitsito, aye. Representative Ujoa.
Nay.
Representative Ujoa, nay. Representative Valencia.
Aye.
Representative Valencia, aye. Representative Villanueva.
Aye.
Representative Villanueva, aye. Representative Wang.
Pass.
Representative Wang, pass. Legislative Secretary Yabbitt.
Aye.
Legislative Secretary Yabbitt, aye. Representative Flores.
Hungan.
Representative Flores, aye. Representative Gale.
Hungan.
Representative Gale, aye. Representative Legman, or Representative Perez. Representative Perez.
Aye.
Representative Perez, aye. Representative Wang.
Aye.
Representative Wang, aye.
Sizos Maasi, Bill number 4-33, received 17 ayes, 5 nays, and 1 excuse during roll call. This bill has been duly passed by this body. Sizos Maasi, we are back on our legislative session agenda, and we are now at item 20 for brief extensions of remarks. Would any representative?
Resolutions.
Oh, my apologies, Sizos Maasi. For resolutions, but we are going to be voted by raise of hands.
Yeah, I'm making that motion to vote by hands.
Yes, Vice Speaker LeBang, we will be voting for the resolutions by raise of hands. Resolution 1-33, Recording Secretary, please read the title.
Resolution number 1-33, introduced by Nolan G.T. Flores, Shantae Aaliyah Kichichu, Vicente Blas-Tyron, and Stephanie Francisca L. Lorenzo, relative to recognizing and celebrating Isakan 2021 as Isakan Chamorro, commemorating the historian Tataw Tanu, and reaffirming Imanhoban Guahan's commitment to Chalanta Motne.
All those in favor of Resolution 1-33, please raise your hand in support. Resolution 1-33 has received unanimous support. It is passed by our body. Mr. Recording Secretary, please read the title for Resolution 2-33.
Resolution number 2-33, introduced by Vicente Blas-Tyron, Stephanie Francisca L. Lorenzo, and Shantae Kichichu, relative to acknowledging 2021 as Isakan Chamorro and commending youth cultural practitioners and organizations for their crucial work in helping to preserve the rich heritage of our island home.
All those in favor of all those for voting in support of Resolution 2-33, please raise your hand. Resolution 2-33 has received unanimous support. It is duly passed by this body. Mr. Recording Secretary, please read the title for Resolution 3-33.
Resolution number 3-33, introduced by Vicente Blas Tyron, relative to urging the Guam Police Department to rename the Central Precinct Command to Lieutenant Concepcion Balahaja Duenas Police Station.
Sizos Maasi, all those in favor of supporting Resolution 3-33, please indicate by raising your hand. Sizos Maasi, Resolution 3-33 has received unanimous support. It is duly passed by this body. Mr. Recording Secretary, please read the title for Resolution 4-33.
Resolution number 4-33, introduced by Al Adrich C. Labang, Kyle Anthony Gatdula Dahilig, and Nolan G.T. Flores, relative to expressing iminatrentay na Congressman Guahan's commendation to all frontline workers and designating March 15, 2021 as Frontline Workers Day.
Sizos Maasi, all those in favor of Resolution 4-33, please indicate by raising your hand. Sizos Maasi, Resolution 4-33 has been duly adopted by this body. Mr. Recording Secretary, please read the title for Resolution 5-33.
Resolution number 5-33, introduced by Kiana Joy Yabut, Stephanie Francisca L. Lorenzo, Al Edrich C. Labang, and Nolan G.T. Flores, relative to recognizing the month of April 2021 as Guam Youth Month, and to further commending the numerous organizations, advocates, and service providers on Guam for their tremendous efforts in promoting the youth of Guam.
Sizos Maasi, all those in favor of Resolution 5-33, please raise your hands. Resolution 5-33 has received unanimous support. It is duly adopted by this body. We are back on our legislative agenda, item 20, for brief extensions of remark. Would any representative wish to speak? Representative Yabut, you're recognized.
Thank you, Madam Speaker. Just quickly for a brief extension of remarks, I just wanted to say Happy Women's History Month to all our women here. Happy Women's History Month to you, Madam Speaker. Happy belated International Women's Day to everybody here. And what better time for us to pass the Period Poverty Act of 2021 in this body other than, in Women's History Month. And also, thank you to everybody for being patient with me as it was my first time on the dais. And yes, that's all, Madam Speaker. Thank you.
Sizos Maasi, Representative Yabut, any other member wish to speak? Brief extensions of remark. Representative Valencia, you're recognized.
Thank you. During recess, some colleagues mentioned a concern with how I conducted the revote for 4-33. And for the purpose of the record, I would like to clarify what was discussed in the recess prior to that revote. What was discussed with other individuals was a reclarification of the amendment due to sent and misunderstood statements. For specifics, a total of 5 other individuals were talked to on this concern, with 1 or 2 of them even retaining their previous regards and holding to their defined beliefs. Admittedly, this conduct was very underhanded. I do hope that this settles any present concerns to the best of its degree. And for those watching and all those currently present here, such things will not be done in the future. For more clarification, such things shall be given on such future assertions shall be done at the appropriate time, and other assertions outside that time will be made properly with emphasis on publicly disclosed to anyone watching or present. Thank you for your regards.
Sizos Maasi, Representative Valencia, would any other representative wish to speak on brief extensions of remark? Representative Blas Tyrone and then Representative Dahilig. Representative Blas Tyrone, you're recognized.
I'd just like to reiterate my my appreciation to all of my colleagues for their support for Bill 11-33, and thank you to everyone for understanding the rather odd path this bill had taken. It was brought to my attention rather recently, but it is indeed such a crucial matter that we needed to handle. And so in the future, I'd just like to assure each of you that I do hope to follow the normal path for introducing bills, but I just appreciate everyone's understanding and their support for this bill. And thank you to those who's also supported the resolutions that I had the opportunity to co-sponsor with some of the wonderful reps we have here. And each of these things I think will make a big impact in our community, and will express a strong stance of the youth to protect our culture, to stand up for the legacies of those before us, and protect our Manamku. So, Sijos Masi Todos Hamzu.
Sizos Mossy, Representative Blas Tyrone. Would any other representative wish to speak for brief extensions of remark? Representative Helig and then Representative Lazama.
Sandanglu Nasijus Masi. I express disappointment in today's decision on Bill number 433 in both the process of how it was conducted today and the dismissal of the clear conflict of interest. As amended, the bill is an attack on the legal small businesses and has the potential of hurting the people we wish to protect. As amended, this bill will attack hard-working small businesses as they will be fighting for shelf space with others who do not have the same permits. And so I'm extremely disappointed in today's decision, and I look forward to all the other bills being transmitted to the legislature. Sijus Masi. Sijus Masi, maraming salamat po, and kiniso.
Sizos Mossy, Representative Dahilic. Representative Chloe Lazama, you're recognized.
Suzanne Smallsey, Madam Speaker. I would just like to thank everyone today who voted on the Period Poverty Act. What better way to do it, obviously, during Women's International Month and Women's International Day. This is one step into revolutioning women, and one step for women, and another step for women empowerment and evolving how women are viewed. And this is also one step as to why women are such a crucial part as to why the world goes around. So this is Mossy for everyone that voted for the Period Poverty Act.
Sizos Mossy, Representative Lazama. Any other member wish to speak? Representative Flores, you're recognized.
Sijos Masi, Madam Speaker. I'd just like to also express my appreciation and my appreciation for the body's work in passing these bills, these resolutions, and all that we do, whether it's providing relief for groups that are disadvantaged within our communities, whether it's celebrating our culture, whether it's calling attention to issues that are sometimes overlooked. I just like to thank the body and everyone here for what they do on behalf of their constituents and the youth of Guam, and especially as it relates to resolutions number 1-33 and 2-33. And I'd like to invite everyone to really live your culture, and whatever your culture may be, and find your place in the community within Guahan, and your relationship, your connection to the Chamorro people of Guam. Regardless of where you're from, you do play a very critical role in all that goes on in island. So yes, I invite everyone to participate in whatever events may be coming up in the coming months, the coming years. And I'd like to also express some concern with the processes that occurred today. I'd like to thank certain representatives for addressing it, bringing it to the discussion for the benefit of the public, and for also those. And I just further ask that future discussion, as it was stated, is shared with the body at the bare minimum and with the listening audience. Suzos Masi, Madam Speaker.
Sizos Mossy, Representative Flores. Would any other representative wish to speak? Hearing or seeing none, we will move on to item 21, which is announcements. Does anyone have any announcements? Okay. Representative Helig for announcements.
Sijus Masi, Madam Speaker, just one quick announcement. The ACLU is having an ongoing litigation with the government of Guam, which is to be heard in the judicial body on March 15, so a few days from now. And I just wanted to echo the sentiments of the people who are fighting in favor of the ACLU, and to express that we recognize for the past 2 years, Guam has not had a safe and legal abortion provider accessible to Guam. And I also want to recognize that of the continued struggles for the people who have to travel to uncanny obstacles in order for them to have safe and legal abortion practices. So I just wanted to make that acknowledgement, and I would like and to hope to see that the courts rule in favor of the ACLU and for the people of Guam for abortion access to Guam. Sijus Masi.
Sizos Mossy, Representative Helic. Any other representative would like to have some announcements? Representative Blas Tyrone, you're recognized.
Just one quick announcement. So the next Tamuning-Tuan Harmon Municipal Planning Council meeting is going to be on Thursday, April 1st. And I'd just like to thank my colleague, Representative Gale, for attending with me. We got to provide a Youth Congress update report, as well as be exposed to some of the happenings within our municipality. And so they're open, the meetings are open to the public, and if anybody would like to join, I just wanted to put that information out there. So Sijos Masi.
Oh, Sizos Mossy, Representative Blas Tyrone. I just want to say a friendly reminder for all those representatives who did not fill out the Google survey form for the stipends. Please just remember to fill them out. We can resend the link to the group chat if necessary and needed. Any other representative? Representative Flores, you're recognized.
Sizos Masi, Madam Speaker. The Commission on Decolonization, in close collaboration with the Department of Tomorrow Affairs, as part of efforts with the newly formed Guahan Indigenous Heritage Alliance, GIHA, will be unveiling a showcase of local creative works and films to be aired on the Governor's Channel and stream live on YouTube beginning next week Wednesday. Or I'm sorry, next week Friday. I'll be sure to share that schedule, but be on the lookout. There's some pretty cool, interesting works that I'm sure many of us haven't seen yet. Yeah, Sizos Masi.
Sizos Masi, Representative Flores. Any other announcements? Hearing or seeing none. Oh, Representative Yaba, you're recognized.
Thank you, Madam Speaker. I just really wanted to quickly mention that Monday at 6 p.m., just because the ACLU lawsuit was brought up, an organization that I'm part of, Familao Rights, will be hosting a little Instagram Live talking about abortion history in Guam, and we did a lot of research, and the statistics that we found are actually quite shocking, so I invite everybody to go watch that if you have time on the Familao Rights Instagram page at Familao Rights. Monday at 6 p.m., I'll be hosting that, so I look forward to seeing all of you there. Thank you.
Sizos Masi, Representative Yabut. Any other announcements? Representative Blas Tyrone on your motion to adjourn.
Sijos Masi, Madam Speaker. At this time, I'd like to make a motion to adjourn, subject to the call of the Speaker.
Sizos Masi, Representative Blas Tyrone. There's been a motion to adjourn subject to the call of the Speaker. Are there any objections? Hearing or seeing none, we are adjourned.